June 7th, AD 2011. I'm not a lawyer. My name is Daniel. All I do is teach the law. I don't practice it because I'm not a whoremaster in the law. I do not sell legal advice because advice is really adding a vice. Now, what is a vice? A vice isn't a good thing, so why would I add to it? Only lawyers would do that and be able to throw a ticket price tag on it and convince you to want to pay. Okay, and lawyers do not know the law because if they knew the law, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing because they'd have a conscience. So they never reached any spiritual enlightenment, and they don't even realize where the laws come from, which is the Bible. So I've studied this first, the law book second. And this will always come in first place. So if you don't know this, you will die like a beast, and they've got a whole court system running people through all day long in a slaughter zone.
Yeah, for the benefit of, because we can't see what that book is.
Okay, hopefully the camera picks it up. This is the law, and it is the Bible.
Tell them what it is, though.
Well, I use the 1611 authorized 1611 King James Version. Okay? So the reason I use that because it's authorized, because it's the only one that's authorized for the court. So easy enough, if you stay with something that's authorized, it means it has authority. And it can't be taken away. Alright, so we're going to get started. We talked about the courts. You have to understand what's going on. Most people's lives start very, very simple. The first thing that happens in your life, your parents fill out a birth record. Okay? They must be under some duty, debt, or obligation, receiving some benefits or privileges which obligates them under the legislature, under the Vital Statistics Act. They must fill this out. And people have tried not to fill it out. They run into lots of problems. And I'm not suggesting to go down that trail. It makes no sense to be inside a hospital debating whether or why I'm using their system in there and then claiming I'm not going to cooperate with filling out the record. So we'll just consider whatever was going on, your parents must have been in an implied contract that obligated them to go in and do this. So at the beginning of the stage, things are filled in there. Given name, surname. In law, the given name is the Christian name. So it doesn't matter if someone's Muslim, Hindu, atheist. It would not matter. Their life is controlled by a very, very ecclesiastical system. And they can change that, and they can jump up and down and say, I don't believe, and the system does not care. They do not need them to believe. But funny enough, at the end of when they sign this, when the parent signs off, even if they were an atheist, it says, I certify to the best of my belief and knowledge. So there must be belief in there, so if they say they have no belief, then they shouldn't have filled this out. Paid the $50,000 fine and gone to jail. But we hear these ridiculous conversations happen over and over. This is the first thing that happens. I had nothing to do with it. I did not witness this event, and I am not the creator of this document. Someone has made a claim. Statement of birth, statement of claim. Next thing, basically, now most people never have this. I've talked to most of the people in Ontario that I've run into on this subject, and most people do not even have this document. Now there's people that have been familiar with the subjects we're talking about have gone out to get it. But I say the majority of people are not carrying the long form, which is the birth record that's filled out at the hospital. Now, the most thing that people do carry is this unique little document that's mailed out to someone at an address and basically just has the name written on it. And it's called a certified extract from the birth registration. So it's a piece of the action. It's an extract. It's just a part. It doesn't say given name, surname. They didn't run out of ink. It's the way it's formatted. It's because you can never harm a child, so therefore whoever's on this, if this is an extract of a claim made on someone, it's strictly still at issue. It has not been proven. But it appears we've got a case going on because everything involves a court. In order to have a court, you have to have an action. And the action is there must be an accused. So the courts daily are very busy on their docket. Okay, where they're doing a plus and a minus. And the judge sits in there like an insurance adjuster figuring out who did what to figure out who's going to pay. But who's going to carry this is going to be the question. So in social arrangements of mankind, we create social contracts, and we need someone to carry this. But someone must have a name to carry this. So they apply to enter into social society under the social insurance contract. So they carry title insurance. And because the word insurance is like insurity, they go in surety for this piece of property because it's an extract. They're carrying this. It's a bond. And at age of election, they will take over the contract that their parents had because their parents had a parent authority for it. Now they take it over. Moving down the ladder, they're now the surety because they applied to be that. So the accused on this would be, if my name was John Smith, it'll be Smith John, Smith comma John. And that'll be the name always on the docket outside the courtroom. This is just an act, it's just a movie, but someone's got to be the accused. So, if we understand what's going on, a record has been started, whether true or not. Here's a piece of the record, an extract. And then we need someone to carry that, so you apply to be the carrier. It's kind of like being a broker, because everybody's broke. If anybody knows the history of the nations, they've been broke since 1933. Spiritually, they've been broke for a long time. The whole world's been broke for thousands of years, spiritually. But in the financial world, they're super broke now because no nation prints its own money. So therefore, you need to apply for private insurance. So that's what your social insurance application is for. So they'll hand you basically an application, you fill it out, you put in the particulars, and out comes the card on a plastic 9-digit number, and now you're carrying title insurance. And you applied and they approved you. So at this stage, you are now carrying or holding property because you're holding this. It's not yours, because if it was yours, you would have printed it. So it's not yours, it's somebody else's, therefore you're a trustee, an agent, and now you're carrying this. And you go around, you'll go get your driver's license with this, you'll get many things with this, but you could not have gotten your social insurance without giving a government-issued bond. Now, people would always ask me, why would I need to go and apply for social insurance? Couldn't I just work? Find out how many people would ever hire you without social insurance. And you will usually find that people would succumb to applying for social insurance pretty quickly, because the majority of employers will never let you in without having a social insurance number. Because there must be a risk, because you're going to be doing something in amongst a social society to make money, to make profit. Therefore, you require to give them this government-issued bond in order to get the title or a name to operate in society with. This number on this does not correspond with this number on this. There is different identification numbers, which would tell you that maybe you're becoming something else. Are we understanding that? These are not the same, even though they may be linked in the computer, but they're not the same. They would have the same numbers, because that means the social insurance number would be the same as the certificate number or the registration number on this, which it is not. So therefore, why would I need a different identification number under this if it's not being picked up as a risk through someone else? So in the banking world, our entire society borrows money, and they're borrowing it from private bankers. And those private bankers give you the opportunity to become a private agent for them. They're not bankrupt, the public's bankrupt. And this is a very hard concept for people to come into understanding of. How could the public be protected under bankruptcy and there still be a private wealth going on behind the scenes. Well, the only way you access the private wealth is to become an agent for them. And that's how they run social insurance. But you're required to give this to get into that. So you've taken over the risk of this because you're now carrying it. And you're insured. And you did not create this. It was already there waiting for you. So now in this level, when you identify, because this is the name you're identifying yourself with, so we know we don't identify ourselves as Smith John, so when we get the social insurance contract approved, which is 100% success rate on getting that, that's for free. They need so many suckers on that one that they automatically give that one for free. And immediately you turn on to John Smith. Now this guy's got an agency position. He's an agent. He's got power to bind the corporation. He can sign. So he's going in there. And I'm sure he's not in there for love. He's in there for money. Because he's there for profit. And they track him. John Smith needs to be tracked because if he's making money, it's taxable. So this guy is now, as we said here, he is surety for this. This is the accused, and this is the surety who agrees to show up. He's always summoned to appear in the court for the accused because he's carrying the bond. And they had to give the agent the bond or it wouldn't make any sense. So they gave him the bond. Now what's he supposed to do with the bond? Well, under the Old Covenant, which this somewhat represents if you understand the Bible, very, very hard if you don't understand the Bible. Because if you haven't read the Bible, this will seem like just me speaking in Latin to you. But under the Old Covenant or the Old Testament, the Israelites had one tribe that were the sureties for the people. They were not allowed to go in to place sacrifice for their sins without going through a Levite. So the Levites were a special group. They were their own society almost. And they made 10%. Welcome to the law societies. They are a special arrangement. They're their own friends, but they're not your friend. Because they're keeping an arrangement going that has been obliterated, if you understand the Bible, by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, who was a surety for all. He made no need for the Old Covenant to keep a priesthood going any longer. But for those that don't understand and are going to run through a life of no faith, we've got a whole court system to tie your life up with, which will be full of duty, debt, and obligation, and most people not understanding their role. All it is one big movie with no one learning their lines in the script. They walk in there, haven't studied their lines, so therefore they don't even know what's going on in the court. So if we understand this, we'll move to the next stage, which will just explain the court, and then you understand what's going on and what the obligation of John Smith is for Smith, John, who he's carrying the bond for. We understand he's the accused, this is the agent for the accused. And he voluntarily took on that position, so he's obligated to show up by an implied contract. And he can charge fees. I won't get into the detail of that, because someone will be attracted to want to go in there and do that. And that's not the reason of this session. Okay, so we're going to go down the path.
I think we want to break in the video here.
What's that?
Do we want to break in the video?
We can do a break.